Hey, Trish Jenkins here, and this is Resilient Finance Week. If you want to have your money to be more resilient, or you be more resilient with your money, then you've come to the right place. I'm going to bring you a strategy which may or may not suit you. Disclaimer again, talk to someone financial who's licensed or pay, a counsellor or someone for your needs. But this is a strategy that can help a lot of people, because you know what? There are, my goodness, as at January 2020, almost 17 million Aussies, that's 2/3 of us, hold a combined non-mortgage debt, not the house, just other debt of 18.1 billion, according to ING research at the time. I don't know what it is 12 months later, but it's still be pretty high, I would expect. So that's 10.5 grand each that is of them, which is not mortgage related. And I know a lot of people are doing it tough now because of COVID and so on, but this strategy will help. If it works for you, might work, might not, but this is one that I've found. I've never really had much debt, but I know that this strategy works with if you have multiple debts. So we're going to get into that straight after this. The strongest prison bars are in your head. Leaders and teams, it's time for a jailbreak. All right, let's get into it. So some people think that all debt is bad, and I'm not one of those. I think that if your debt is working for you, say it's something like a house, you're going to be paying rent anyway. So whether it's rent or mortgage, and you've got a roof over your head, as long there we are. That's a bit better. All right, sorry about that. I'm not going to finish and start again. I just want to get straight onto it. And if I stuffed it up, I'll record it again another day and just delete them all like I did a few minutes ago. All right, so debt can be helpful. It can serve you. And it's not just for things that are income producing. Another example of debt is where you've saved so much money for a car, and you may decide, instead of selling it and starting again, that that's another strategy, but that's to do with keeping that savings there so that it's there and it can grow. But I don't want to complicate things though, so just don't worry about that one. One simple strategy, because I want to keep this under 10 minutes. And it goes like this. So, well, actually two strategies. And this first one I'll give you. I will say it does work. It's a good idea. So suppose this is zero and you are, this is break even, and you are down here. And you are busy trying to pay off debt. So you're going paying. Yay, you get to here and it's, yay, we've got nothing, we're on zero. What I suggest people do is when they do their budget, remember our buckets that we talked about yesterday, your sub-accounts that you have at your bank, that you would have an account. Yes, part of those accounts might be, we wouldn't have an account for paying off debt. That would be a debt account. But you might be allocating for those, but you still want to allocate in your sub-accounts that you have short-term savings and longer-term savings that you continue to feed into those savings accounts. So while this is coming up and up and up, you are also putting some aside that is going here, up. So this is in the positive. while this is reducing. What that means is you never get to zero. You skip over zero into profit and increase because you're doing both at the same time. Plus, if you're totally focused on the debt, you're totally focused on negativity, on, not that I'm going to get too spacey about this, but you don't want to have that totally in front of you, but wishing it away is not going to help. You've still got to front up and do it. So here we are. You might have, if you work out your debts in terms of size. Now, some people pay the highest interest rate first. They'll concentrate on that one. Some people will choose to pay the biggest debt down first and concentrate on that. This is not that. If that works for you, fine, but consider this. Suppose you have debts. There's one that is this big, another one is this big, another one is this big, another one is this big, right? So what you do is you concentrate all your efforts on the tiniest, easiest debt. Maybe it's a little credit card. Maybe it's at a store. Maybe it's for, like it's an Afterpay thing. Dear Lord, save us from Afterpay, unless you're buying shares in Afterpay. Not that that's a recommendation, but if you're going to be, when you go to the casino, you look at your house, you go to the casino and you see their house, you know who's winning. So when it comes to places that are helping you to spend money, who's going to win? They are. So I would not recommend Afterpay. Good old-fashioned lay-by while you can. Now, lay-by is where you have something put away in a shop and you pay it off each time to the shop. And when it's paid off, yay, you bring, and it feels like you got it for like $5 because that might be the last payment. Woohoo, I've got this thing. That's exciting. That's if shops let you do that now, but I don't think they can force you into Afterpay. But with Afterpay, you take the thing and then you keep on paying for it long after it's no longer bright and shiny. Think about it. It's like giving yourself a present that you're excited about, and then you get it and it's like, woohoo. So that's that. Concentrate on the easiest. You've got to pay your minimums here, but concentrate on this one and pay that little bit extra. Suppose that debt is like, I don't know, $5. This one might be 10. This one might be 1,000, and this one might be 20. I don't know. It's whatever those debts might be. That's small to large. So you've been paying $5 off for this one. Well, if you pay instead of paying extra here, you pay the extra here. Say it's $6. Well, that's $6. It gets off quicker. You'd agree? Yeah, quicker. Now, when it's paid, you take that 6 and you add it to the 10. So it's now getting paid off at 16. And then it gets faster down. It goes down faster. This goes up faster. So your debt is reducing because your money's going up. Then when that's paid, you take that 16 and you add it. I picked 1,000. I don't know what it might be, but you add it to the next one, the next one, and the next one. And there's an acceleration of debt reduction. Okay, that's the strategy. And you'd be surprised at how quickly, especially if you do like an auto pay and anything that you can. Here's another tip for saving. One thing we do is we collect $5 notes, because my husband has a thing about cash. He doesn't like banks and everyone knowing where he spends his money. So he pulls cash out, he uses cash. When he gets $5, it goes into his wallet and it stays there. And then at some point he'll have a bunch of them and we take them into another bank account. And we saved $2,000 in 1 year just from stray fives. What could you save with stray fives? How much could they add up to? Stray fives. They're cool. They're purple. I don't know what color they're in. All of American money is green and boring, but ours are pretty. And they're nice pinky purple color, and they look beautiful. Gathered up. Doesn't seem like much, $5, but they add up. So there's an extra one. There's an extra bonus there too. So there we are. And in the meantime, this is still going up. So this gets reduced faster, and this is still there. So you get to skip over zero. Wouldn't it be good to skip over zero? Now, I had a couple of thoughts. So that's the strategy. I hope you enjoyed that. yes, work out whether it works for you and see a financial counsellor if you need to. Do remember that brokers make money out of you being broke. No. Financial advisors get a commission on putting you into things. Mortgage brokers have a vested interest in perhaps consolidating your loans. Maybe it is a good strategy for you, maybe it isn't, but always understand, the person that you're talking to, always understand what's in it for them. You need to know what's in it for them, because that will colour even though they're supposed to be impartial, if you understand, yes, I'm happy to pay for a service, I understand this and this. When we had lots of real estate, financial planners would say, oh, you don't want to have all that real estate. You need, even actually we had one rental property. So, oh, you got too much property, you need to have shares. Well, in his thing where he gets a commission, like, no. And I do my own trading now. And that's a different thing. So let me see. I wanted to let you know, look, financial stress is bad for your health. And I don't think Americans are any different in terms of debt load. The numbers might be a little different, but debt is a thing that affects everybody in different ways, and it's about human nature and your mindset. I'm not going to go into the mindset around debt right now. I just want to give you a quick, fast strategy that works. Now, whether you throw yourself into debt all over again is another matter, which reminds me of what I wanted to share with you. Look, be aware of your giving and where it's going, and understand the terms and conditions. Not like yes, you got all these big long strips, but as an example, when you give to a charity or say a church, we were in a church that had a campaign of drop the debt. And the inference was God doesn't want us in debt. We want to get this building paid off. And we were like, yeah, let's drop the debt so we can really, have some money freed up to do some great work. And so, people gave sacrificially to dropping that debt. Two things here. One is, when you give to God or whatever that work is, it's gone. You trust God to do with whatever, and he will deal with those people if they don't do it right. Having said that, accountability is important. And what I love about City Point with my church is that you can tick a box to say where you want it to go, if you care. If you don't care, if you're like, you know what, you do what you think is best with the money, that's great. But legally, if you say this giving is for this thing, that's where it has to go. Whether you think God has changed his mind or not, this is where it has to go. Does God change his mind? That's another story. Because when we got that debt, this is many years ago, another church, doesn't need to be named, but when it got down, the debt got down, the leaders decided to run it up again, because it was a line of credit. They ran it up again to refurbish the church. And even though we had said, we're giving this in good faith, kind of left a bit of a, wasn't so nice, because the purpose was to drop the debt. That was the focus. And maybe God changed his mind, or maybe they thought, hey, we're all freed up. We can just access this money all over again. You can think what you like about that, but I didn't think that was the right way to do it. I think had I known that debt was going to get shot up again, yeah, I wouldn't have given that much into it. And it was significant, because that was before we had our big drop in, before we had a big disaster. So be aware now. Just be aware of the conditions of, if you want to give into an orphanage in Bangladesh, that's where it goes. Global Care is a charity arm of our church denomination, and it is very, very careful about where money goes. If it is being allocated for that particular orphanage, that's where it goes, and it's accountable. So it's really important. I'm going to be touching on, I'm not ready to do it yet, but I am. There's been a few things go on internationally with heroes failing, and how their leadership have handled it, and how it was allowed to get as far as it was. We've all seen heroes fail, whether it be in the corporate world or in the church world. And the phrase that's been coming up is, toxic submission culture. And when there's no accountability, when everyone's a yes man and to question anything gets people put out in the cold, that's where things can come unstuck legally. And it's really dicey. So you've got to do everything properly as a church, as an organisation, as a person who's giving or who's dealing with debt. You've got to do what's best for you and be aware, because ultimately you are responsible for your finance. You are, regardless of what happens. Even if someone misleads you, it is your responsibility to do the due diligence. I know that sounds harsh, but you know what? I got 8 months in prison to show that I should have done more. And then a lot of people they just blindly trusted me and went, yeah, good. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And it just wasn't the case. So not that that will happen to you, but hey, it could. All right. Keep saving while sacrificing. Then you skip 0. Smallest debt first, then add the payments to the next one. So here's another quick tip with real estate. It used to be only pay the interest on your rental property if it's an investment property. I'll never do that again. We will always continue to pay principal and interest. You do what works for you. But this whole smug OPM, using other people's money strategy, I just use other people's money, ha, 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 because, I'm just not exposable. That's a smart aleck strategy that comes from greed, and run when you see that. And you'll see these gurus and people presenting and saying, we just use other people's money, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, great, till you lose it on them. And, you're structured up so you're protected. Really? Good for you. But for everyone else, your integrity is everything. And we had a number of houses and we borrowed against them to get the next one. And that's fine. We ended up losing them anyway in the disaster. But we would be more careful in future, and we would do P&I. Not saying you have to, but understand the risk of your exposure. And if you're going to sound posy and clever and ha, 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 pride goes before a fall. I'm telling you that right now. Anyone who gets smart alecky with me when it comes to money, I just run. Okay, it has been a little bit over time, but I do get a bit passionate about money, even though I talk more about resilience and mindset. Your finances affect your mindset. They do. Your finances affect your mindset, your emotions. So if you can be in charge of your money, you will be in charge of your world. Well, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I'm telling you, your mental health, your emotional health demands that you consider your money carefully and make good decisions, because every little bit adds up. So if you want to skip 0, there's a strategy for you, but do what works for you. See a financial counsellor if you have to, because that might be a good thing too. All right, bless your heaps, everybody, and I will remember this time to put my little outro video on. And if you've got a comment or anything, or a like, share, all that stuff. So I'm going to be reloading, sending this to a few other places as well, Instagram, etc. Getting a bit better at this. So thanks for staying with me on the journey. All right, bless your heaps. Bye-bye. Oh, wrong one.